you have started a very cool company, Staple Foods, co-founder, and you're the CEO. So take us through the story behind it. Like how did you end up starting Staple Foods?
Yeah, well, we'll start from the beginning. So I got to give a lot of credit to a few other people who are like the true originators. So there's a venture builder. Are you familiar with the term venture builder, right? A company that builds little businesses that then grow up. A venture builder started by a woman named Ruth Burtons, who's here. The venture builder is called Pyramidia Ventures, and they basically work to solve inefficiencies in food production systems, agricultural systems. And so one of the primary inefficiencies that they had identified, which is the thesis for Stable Foods, is that in Kenya and across the continent, there is land, there are people, and there is water, but they are not combined intelligently in a way that they can be productive together. And so you have millions of smallholder farmers and millions of acres with people practicing subsistence farming, with rain-fed agriculture, basically just praying for good rains. And so accordingly, they get extremely low yield, which therefore does not contribute to food security. It does not contribute economically in any material sense. But that asset, the land, the asset, the people, and the asset, the water, are all at a 10% utilization rate. If we can combine them intelligently, then all of a sudden we can massively increase our productivity, and that is going to be good for the world in so many different downstream ways. And so that vision was born out of, or that idea was born out of some Pyramidia, the venture builders' ideas, and then they said they wanted to put together a business. They did a couple months of tests and pilots. It went pretty well, and they said, okay, let's get some real money, some institutional investment. The institutional investors said, we're not giving you a shilling unless you have a CEO in place. And so then they went to the market to look for a CEO. I happen to have just resigned from my previous company. Shout out to my previous company, Ken Taste, East Africa's largest manufacturer of coconut products, an awesome company doing awesome stuff, putting out great products and employing over 300 people in Ukunda. But I had just left because I was looking for a slightly different let's call it adventure, opportunity. And so I was just in the perfect opportunity to step into the CEO position of Stable Foods. So that was June of 2022.
Oh, okay. So you've been working on this for
a little over 2.5 years.
2.5. Okay, nice. So then take us through like the thesis. You mentioned the thesis there about Staple Foods. Like, what exactly are you doing, and what are you offering farmers that might not exist in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So we firmly believe that we are offering a solution that nobody else there is offering. There are some companies that offer things that are similar, but they have limitations, and we go much further. Again, the basic thesis is if you get people, land, and water together, you can get a massive increase in productivity. And let's talk about all the reasons why. The first one is you can do more cycles per year, right? So the farmers that we currently work with right now, before working with us, do 1.1 seasons per year. That means for almost all of our farmers, that land is fallow for 8 months of the year. Obviously, you're not going to get a lot of productivity if it's just sitting there for 8 months. Number two, they can do higher value crops. Instead of doing maize and beans, they can do tomatoes, onions, spaghetti, managu, and the rest, right? So that makes a lot more productivity, higher yield, and also higher value. Three, irrigation obviously allows for more yield per cycle. And then four, also it allows for counter-cyclical planting. So one of the issues that our farmers have right now is that when the rainy season comes, everyone plants the exact same crops. So 3 months later, everyone is harvesting the same crops. So for a month, there's oversupply in the market, prices drop, farmers get frustrated, and they say, hey, farming's not worth my time. But if they had planted 2 months earlier or 2 months later, they might have been able to hit it when prices are 2, 3, or even 4x higher. And you can make a lot of money that way, right? Would you rather sell your tomatoes at 50 or 25, right? The math is pretty simple. Irrigation allows for that. So those are all the values of irrigation. What we do is we find communities of potential that don't have access to irrigation, and then we effectively build a network system that brings water from a local water source up into the entire community. So the key foundational tenet is shared infrastructure. So previously you might have 10 different farmers. They would have 10 different pumps, 10 different main lines, 10 different solar panels, 10 different electrical systems. There's no cost savings there, right? But imagine, let's say you put all of those 10 in one system, or maybe you put 100 farmers on one system. Then your cost savings become massive. The system becomes much easier to install. You can provide better service for lower costs. So that's what we do. We build systems. We connect 40, 50 farmers at a time, and then there's no upfront cost for them. They don't have to buy anything. They don't have to pay for anything. They don't have to get any permits. We do all of that. The company does all of it. And then the farmers pay a small monthly fee for access to the water. Then when the farmer has access to water, they can start that journey from subsistence to small-scale commercial farmer. There's more to it, but that is the primary innovation of the business. And the reason why I say that we're the only ones doing that is because we're the only ones doing shared infrastructure that goes way beyond the water source. There are plenty of companies, some of them are very good companies, such as Sun Culture, selling good products, where if you are immediately adjacent to a water source, they'll sell you an individual system. Great. But what if you're 100 meters away or 1,000 meters away? Nobody's solving that problem except for Stable Foods.